month is March, which means it is Women's History Month. And today is March 8th, which means that is International Women's Day. So I want to give a big shout out, have a big celebration, a big round of applause to all the women out there today. We make the world go round. So to honor our special day, because it is March 8th when I'm filming this, it will be released on Friday, which is when I normally release my YouTube videos. We will be discussing this book, Becoming RBG. This is about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is very fitting because I am a law student and this channel is pretty much to help law students. And we can learn a lot from what RBG did. Like, she paved the way for not only women, but also for men. And it's just amazing and incredible how she did it. It starts off, it's about 37 chapters with the epilogue, and it just goes over her entire life from her being born all the way until she is a Supreme Court justice. Ruth had a very difficult childhood. Her older sister passed away when she was really young, and she grew up right around the beginnings of World War II. And she's Jewish, and her family follows Jewish traditions. And that means that there was a lot of anti-Semitism, racism, and bigotry all throughout Europe, and it was permeating into the United States. She had to deal with that and how her family dealt with that, with them being Jewish. And when she was younger, her mother taught her these things, and a lot of the women who came into her life, even as an adult, taught her to always be cool, calm, and collected, always be like a lady, act like a lady, respond as a lady would respond, no matter how difficult the situation. And that's what she was able to do. And the one thing that her mother also wanted her to do was become independent so that she could take care of herself. Because Ruth was born during a period where women were not independent. They had to rely on their husbands. A woman's role was to be a wife and mother, just only that, not to have a career and also be a wife and mother. And her mother taught her that women should be able to do both. When Ruth was in the 8th grade, she was in charge of a school paper, and she took what she calls the 4 documents: Magna Carta, the 10 Commandments, the Bill of Rights, and the U.S. Constitution. And her mother sparked a love of history in Ruth because she always wanted Ruth to become a history teacher. So Ruth loved history, and her article was very profound for an 8th grader. So this resonates with me a lot. Unfortunately, my mother passed away when I was 15, so I was in my 11th grade year. Our high school years are a little different where I grew up. So my mother passed away from cancer, and for Ruth, her mother passed away 2 days before her graduation. So it was 2 days before her graduation, and here's the sad part about it. If I explain this incorrectly, please forgive me. But according to Jewish tradition, there needs to be 10 people called a minyan for mourning, and Ruth wasn't able to mourn because she was a woman. So even though her mother died, the one who told her to be cool, calm, and collected, the one person who wanted her to be independent, the one person who really wanted her to be everything, she was not able to mourn for her because under her tradition, women are not able to do that. I don't know if that's changed now. I'm not Jewish. I don't follow the Jewish traditions, but this is what was spoken about in her novel. And I know for me, my mother was like that for me. Like, I'm in law school because she was the only one who really believed in me enough to go to law school. And so I can't imagine not being able to mourn for my mom, the one person who has put me where I am today. So I can't imagine what Ruth is going through. And so Ruth ends up going to Cornell. She finds the #1 place to study, which are the restrooms, because the library is like a social club and also the dorm is like a social club. And Ruth is there to work. Like, she's not there to like play games or anything like that. She is there to do what she needs to do so that she can graduate, because it's very hard for women at this time. Many colleges were still not accepting of women with men together. So there weren't a lot of co-ed colleges at this time. This is where Ruth meets Martin Ginsburg, which ends up being the love of her life, and they do everything together. And Marty Ginsburg is an avid golfer. I recently started taking up golf, and I will say golf is an amazing sport. It is a great stress reliever because it's just you versus you. So if you never played golf, I suggest that you go get some clubs, get some tees, go to your local golf course, and try it out. You may like it, you may not, but I did it and I actually really like golf. So I'm becoming better at playing golf. I don't know the rules or anything, but just taking it day by day. Pretty soon I'll be hosting golf tournaments, which is what I want to do. So Marty loved golf so much that when his classes got in the way, he just quit his classes altogether and he changed his major. So he took classes that Ruth took because he just wanted to be with her and he also wanted to play golf. And so while Ruth is in class, she has these two professors that have a huge impression on her. And one is Vladimir Novikov, and he is a Russian writer. And words really matter. When you are a law student, words matter. If you do not say something correctly or the way that it should be said, then it's probably not right. Your professor may not understand you. I know for me personally, when I've gone to office hours, I've had to repeat back exactly what the professor said to me in order for me to be understood. Words have meaning, words have consequences, words mean a certain thing, just like these words mean this, these words mean that, and that's how it works. So you have to know the lingo, you have to know the jargon. Words really do matter when you become a law student. So keep that tip, that is important to know. And this is what this professor tells her, and she realizes that, and she falls in love with words and the way that he uses them. And that is why she is such a prolific writer. When you read Justice Ginsburg's opinions, they are just so well written and they are so clear and concise. I love reading her opinions, actually. And another one was Robert Cushman, who is also her constitutional law professor. And remember when she did the four documents, the four important ones, the Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights, the U.S. Constitution, and the 10 Commandments? Her constitutional law professor sparked that flame again for her. And I will say this, constitutional law, it sounds boring, but once you take it, you will actually enjoy it. It was one of my favorite law classes. If I were ever to become a professor, I would probably teach constitutional law because it's amazing at how the laws change and how the country changes, and the laws change. It's just amazing. So it's a lot of opinions. They're really, really long because they are all Supreme Court opinions. But constitutional law, it's a great class. It's one of the foundations. So if you're in law school, you have to take it. You may not like it, but you may like it. I didn't think I would like it, and I actually did like it. And the one thing that Robert Cushman tells her is that maybe you should become a lawyer. And she's like, can women be lawyers? Because this was during the time where a woman being a lawyer was just unheard of. And so he sparks the flame with, hey, you actually can become an attorney. And so you have Ruth just questioning whether she should be an attorney or not. And then her wonderful husband, Marty, steps in. And he is the type of person where, I don't know if you've ever had these types of people in your life, but sometimes the faith that someone else has in us will push us farther than we ever thought we could go. And that's exactly what Marty does for her. She doesn't think that women can become lawyers, and Marty's just like, you can do whatever you want, Ruth. And I have so much faith in you that whatever you choose to do, that's what I will do too. So they looked at Harvard Business School because she thought about being a businesswoman. They didn't accept women at the time. So that leads to the next best thing, Harvard Law School, because they were accepting women at the time. And that's where her and Marty enroll. The one thing I learned about the Jewish tradition from reading this book is that the number 18 means life, and that it also means good luck. And so at their wedding, they had 18 guests signifying good luck in life with their wedding, which I think is really beautiful. This was also during the time where men had to serve 2 years in the military. And so Marty had to do his 2 years of service. Ruth finds out that she's pregnant with her little girl, and because she's pregnant, her boss removes some of her responsibilities, and removal of responsibilities equals less pay, all because she's pregnant. And there are these misconceptions about women working and being pregnant at the time. And so she's just contemplating whether she should actually start law school or not, because she has this newborn baby, and her father-in-law gives her the best advice. And I think this advice works great in life. And so if you are needing this advice, I will give it to you also, is that if there's a will, there's a way. And so her father-in-law told her to stop feeling sorry for herself and to actually become an attorney if that is what she wanted to do, regardless that she even had an infant at home. So there we have it. Ruth starts law school with an infant, with a little baby. And for her law school, this is the next part, and it's pretty shocking. 9 women and 500 men. Only 9 women. And the restrooms for women are in a completely different building. I guess the way the book lays it out, that there are 2 buildings, but restrooms are only in one building. So if you have classes in this building, a woman has to run all the way to the next building and run all the way back in order to make it to her class on time. And what does Ruth do? She handles this in a cool, calm, and collective manner, because she is to be a lady at all times, which is what her mother told her. And now that she's married, her mother-in-law tells her the same thing. So it's like another woman steps into those shoes and just says, be cool, calm, and collected regardless of what happens. And according to the book, Ruth has a great attitude about it. She's just like, this is what a man's world is like. I'm just here in it. I can't complain about it. This is just how things are. And so she's accepted onto Law Review. And that's basically the highest journal, which is a collection of legal articles written by some of the top scholars in the nation. And if you are on Law Review, it is a very high honor to have as a law student. And even though she has a child and she's married, Ruth is able to do this. And the cool part about it is that Ruth can't cook. Some people just aren't able to cook, and that's perfectly fine, but her husband Marty can. And so he does the cooking for the family, which I think is really cool, because during this time that was kind of unheard of. I know me growing up, my father and brothers all know how to cook. Everyone in my family knows how to cook, and we all cook for each other. So it's just, cooking is a given. I never really thought that cooking was just a woman only thing. In my family, if you're a man that can't cook, it's just an outlier, because we all know how to cook. My parents made sure that we were not going to go hungry. We were going to be able to cook for ourselves if we had to. And so because she's on Law Review, she gets to go to this Law Review banquet. And because she's a woman, she can only invite men. She can invite her husband, her father, even her father-in-law, but she cannot invite her mother-in-law to the Law Review banquet. And her mother-in-law tells her, Ruth, it is what it is. Be cool, calm, and collective. Don't be disturbed by these little things. And Ruth isn't. Marty's in his final year of law school, just like I'm in my final year of law school, so he would be a 3L at the time. And he's diagnosed with cancer. He has to go through radiation and all of these cancer treatments, and he's not able to attend classes. So what does Ruth do? She assembles a team of assistants to help Marty with his work at home or wherever he is. So Ruth is helping Marty learn his schoolwork, and then when he goes to bed, she starts her own schoolwork, all while being on Law Review, all while being a mom and raising her daughter. Just incredible. And she's not complaining about it at all. And we all know that Marty survives. Thank goodness that he's able to overcome that bout with cancer. And since Marty is ahead of Ruth, he finds a job in New York, while Ruth is at Harvard in Massachusetts, because that's where she's in law school at. And so what happens? What do they do? How do they figure this out? And Marty's like, I can just turn down this job and then I can just stay in Massachusetts with you. And Ruth is like, no, I'll just transfer to Columbia. And that's what they do. And so Ruth transfers to Columbia for her final year of law school. Ruth now graduates from Columbia. And what happens? She struggles finding a job because she is a woman. She had 14 interviews and 0 job offers. And this is during the time, once again, where men were making an assumption about her. So at this time, I believe her daughter was probably 4 or 5. And they were just saying, a woman with a family, what if her daughter calls in sick? She's going to bring her child to work. She's not going to be able to work. She's going to call out. Just making all of these assumptions. Ruth finishes her clerkship. She gets tons of opportunities to work for firms. So all the firms that said no to her before are now saying yes to her, and she has great references from the judge that she worked for. The ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, is where Ruth Bader starts working on her gender discrimination cases. This is where she starts off with her cases dealing with Moritz and also Sally Reed. I want to read part of an opinion from Justice Bradley, and this is from Bradwell v. Illinois, which is an 1873 Supreme Court case. The natural and proper timidity and delicacy which belongs to the female sex evidently unfits it for many of the occupations of civil life. The paramount destiny and mission of women are to fulfill the noble and benign offices of wife and mother. This is the law of the Creator. And this is what Justice Bradley wrote in this case. And this case was about Bradwell, who is a woman. She wants to take the Illinois bar, and the state of Illinois refuses to let her sit for the bar because she is a woman. And this case is from 1873. So Justice, or not justice yet, but Ruth Bader is seeing all of these things. Like, she's reading all the precedent from the Supreme Court, all of these cases that talk about how women are unfit to be professionals, how women need to be, wives and mothers only, how a woman's job is not having a career, or a woman is not made to work. And so she has to deal with all of these societal issues and constraints that men had upon women during all the years beforehand, because she's now breaking ground for gender discrimination cases. And not only does she do it for women, but she does it for men, showing that gender discrimination also works in the reverse way, where men are not being benefited because they are men, just as much as women aren't being benefited in some situations because we are women. And I think that's what makes Justice Ginsburg so monumental. And another thing that's also important too is that she is inundated with this material saying that women aren't able to do this, that we can't do that, that we're not strong enough, that God didn't make us this way. And yet she's going through all of this material, all of this evidence that she is reading, all of these opinions, all these articles, all these books that talk about women being inferior to men. And yet she pushes forward. And so she does find a couple of gems that talk about how the laws for women aren't right, and how gender discrimination is the same as race discrimination. It's just in a different form, but it's discrimination for something that you can't control. And she just hops on these gems, and on her first argument for the Supreme Court, she actually puts the books and the materials that she used as authors of her brief. So not only is it her, but it's people who've paved the way, who actually provided resources and materials that show otherwise, that we are capable, that these laws are discriminatory against us. And she rides with that. When she was trying to become Judge Ginsburg, there was just a lot against her. They would say, oh, she doesn't have this sort of experience or that sort of experience. And just whatever, they would find whatever they could just to say that she would not become a judge. But again, she acted like a lady. She did not let it bother her. It rolled off her back like water on a duck's back. And she was able to progress and became a judge. And then in order for her to become a Supreme Court justice, she was, of course, nominated by former President Bill Clinton. And it's so funny because according to the graphic novel, they have to sneak her to the White House because they didn't want the public to know or to assume that he would be offering the spot Judge Ginsburg at the time. He meets with her and he just really enjoys her sense of humor, how she is. And he's like, we'll give you a call tonight. And I guess it happens to be a long basketball game. But later on that night, Judge Ginsburg gets the call that says she is nominated to become Justice Ginsburg, and will she accept the appointment? She, of course, does, and the rest is history. Justice Ginsburg, she had a great personality, and she was just so full of humor, and she just loved what she did. And I'm just so happy that she was able to be on the court and that she was able to represent us so well. So that's it for the book. So my review would be, should you read this graphic novel? Yes, of course. I think everyone should read this graphic novel. And why should you read it? Because this is the life about a Supreme Court justice. I think it's great to read about their jobs, what they do, and how they run this country from a legal standpoint. It's amazing. One day you could be a Supreme Court justice, because she's right. Like, we do need more women on the court. And she does talk about in the epilogue, the author of this book is Debbie Levy, and the illustrator is Whitney Gardner. And so they talk about how she felt lonely on the court when she was the only woman on the court. This was after Justice O'Connor retired and before Justice Sotomayor was appointed to be on the court. She was the only woman on there, and she felt as if she had to speak for all women. And if you're a woman or if you're a person of color, you know exactly what this feels like, especially if you are the only one. You feel as if everyone has their eyes on you, being the authority for that particular group of people of color or a woman. It's just how it is. It's unfortunate. And so when there are more women on the court, then that means that there are more voices, and it's just a great thing. It's easy to read and it's easy to comprehend. These are the colors. So everything is just these beautiful purple and pink colors. It's a very well written book. The illustrations are very beautiful. Ms. Gardner did a great job. Ms. Levy did a great job writing the book. And it's a timeline of Justice Ginsburg, just from someone who came from such humble beginnings. Another cool part about this book is that all of the quotes, everything in it, there are references to it. So each chapter has a set of references, which I think is really cool. So you can see that it's actual, like, real words that were said, like real discussions, real life situations. So it's pretty cool. If you want to look up any of the sources, they are listed in the back of the book. Again, happy Women's Month. I'm so proud of us ladies. We've come so far. We still have a long ways to go, but I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to be in the law school. Like, I don't have to worry about being a woman in law school. I truly am blessed. It is a privilege. I'm in my law school office right now. I have a little cubicle that I work in that I get to share with some of my other colleagues. So if there are any books that you want me to review or that you think I should review, I love reading books. Certainly let me know. I want to keep up this playlist. And so each month that represents something, we'll just have a book to review from that particular month. But I love you all. I hope you all stay safe. And thanks for watching. I know people don't say that enough, but I appreciate all the views that I get, all of my subscribers. It makes me so grateful. And it's such a privilege that I have people who are willing to listen to what I have to say. But if you have any questions about law school or law school life or what it's like being a law student, if you're thinking about going to law school, hit me up. You know what to do. I'll talk to you later. I love you all. Bye.